Welcome to the show, everybody. My name is Paul K. Lemire. This is your City, Your Voice. It says so's right back there. And we're in the studios of 4680Q in downtown Niagara Falls, Ontario, Canada on this chilly day. And look who I got with me. Al, McKay, Property Taxpayers Alliance. Promises made, promises kept. I told you we're going to have them in again. And today's the day, and we have lots to talk about since we are 1 month from the capital budget for Niagara Falls, other budgets for the region, and for the city of St. Catharines and other municipalities throughout the region. So important stuff here. It's our money. We are taxpayers.
That's right. Yeah, and we can't afford to keep going the way that we're going. We need some changes.
Exactly. We need some changes. This isn't 40 years ago. We're dealing with today's problems, and a lot of programs are unaffordable. And we're going to get into that in a minute. And we're going to talk about Property Taxpayers Alliance before we get started with anything. But first, I got to get to my sponsors.
Absolutely.
Wild Bill's Auto Repair and Body Shop, Pete's Pizza on Victoria Avenue, and Hamill Machine Company. And you know, Al, when you get out in weather like this, the first thing you start thinking about is snow is going to be on its way. So what does that mean? That means we need our cars checked.
Is my car going to start?
Is it going to start? Is my heater working?
That's
Is
right.
my defroster working? You do not want to break down in a cold November, sloppy sleet, rain type of situation. It's miserable, and you're going to be wishing you listened to that goofball on the 4680Q on your City, Your Voice and got your car into Wild Bill's Auto Repair. He's going to check all your systems, your brakes, your defroster, your heater. He's going to go right through your car with his diagnostic equipment, fix anything that could be a problem, and get you on the road so you have a great, safe winter of driving. Get those snow tires on. Now's the time to do it. Be proactive, because once it flies, you know what's going to happen. Everybody's going to be there. You won't be able to get in, and you are going to be sitting waiting for CAA on a miserable day. Wild Bill's Auto Repair and Body Shop, Oakwood Drive, next to the Kia dealership. Go to his website, wildbillsauto.ca, to see all the services he provides. Support our sponsors. They support the show. And also, while you're at the website, just jump over to Paul Lemire on YouTube or Your City, Your Voice. Subscribe to the channel. You'll get notifications when I drop a video. You'll be able to put a thumbs up, thumbs down. You'll be able to comment on the video, and we'll talk about your comments on the show. Now, if you're listening live on 4680Q Radio, 4680Q.com, you can send messages to us. How about that?
That's new since last time I was here. That's awesome.
That's new. I got another phone here. Compliments of my good buddy Gary Wilkins. And the number is 289-994-7560. Very simple. 289-994-7560. Send us a text message. Tell us what you think of what we're talking about. And we're going to be good to go. Okay, so I hope you got that. Now, first of all, let's let Al tell us about Property Taxpayers Alliance. And I tell everybody, go to the Facebook page, join. There's valuable information about what's going on in the property tax world with the budgets, with your taxes. It's your money. You better be interested in, because they're spending it like crazy, Al.
Thanks, Paul. Go to the propertytaxpayer.ca or go to the Facebook page. We are an organization of concerned citizens who've come together all over, like you, yes, who've come together to try and remedy some of the situations with regards to overspending from our municipal governments. We're trying to influence the government to help set up some policy and legislation regarding setting up guardrails with regards to the amount that municipalities can spend, and actually looking at how they spend our money and making sure that it's being spent in a responsible manner.
I can't ask for more than that from a group. I mean, we are all interested in this simply because it's our money. It's our money. You know, I looked at my property tax bill. I think it was around $4,000 this year. And it's kind of a little bit of a sleight of hand, because what they did years ago, if I'm not mistaken, and I think I kind of remember this, is your water and wastewater, water and sewer, used to be included with your property taxes. It became so outrageous that they've split it up now So you take your water bill, you add it to your tax bill, and that's your total tax bill, which probably is in excess of $6,000 or close to it in Niagara Falls.
Water, wastewater's gone through the roof, and we need to get control of that.
And
I'm not sure how they're going to do that. I know that years ago, during the last term of regional council, there was a number of people who wanted to tackle that, and we're no further ahead.
yeah, and it's getting worse because the region is technically, for all intents and purposes, broke.
Yeah.
They don't have money. We need a new South Niagara wastewater plant, Al, and they don't have the $400 million. They said it's $400 million. By now, it's probably $700 million.
More. Yeah,
we know how it
right?
works. Yeah. We know how it works. Yeah. And they don't have the money to do it. And the development out by that new hospital is screwed if they don't put this in. But so what I'm getting at here is that they're looking for a tremendous raise for the next 10 years of maybe 8 or 9%.
Yeah. Well, you look at the regional budget in and of itself. You look at 2023, we had a 7.58% increase. 2024, you had a 7.02% increase. 2025, you've had a 9.6% increase. In addition to that, this year, they're looking at a possible 3.5% cap on what the increase will be. But the reality of it is the Niagara Regional Police budget hasn't been passed yet. And so it's going to, I'm afraid to say it's going to be above that, which is all of those numbers are way above inflation. And when you look at the financial information returns from all the municipalities, you add them all up, we've seen significant increases in expenditures across the board from all lower tier and upper tier municipalities. Back in 2022 on the FIR report, it worked out to about $1.8 billion spent between all our lower tier municipalities and our upper tier, and those are gross expenditures. In 2024, we're looking at $2.1 billion in expenditures overall. So a significant increase. Expenditures are increasing at a rate of 3 to 4 times the rate of inflation. One of the things that surprised me in looking at all of these is the number of full-time staff that have been hired by our lower tier and upper tier municipalities. We've seen a significant increase over the last 3 or 4 years. In 2022, we had about 6,700, almost 6,800 staff that worked for all of these places. We're over 7,400. It's an almost 10% increase in the number of full-time equivalent staff that are working for a municipal government here in Niagara. Something's got to change. We cannot keep going in this way.
Are these sunshine list wages too?
They are. Some are. Yeah, some are.
Probably most of them.
And we've seen an increase in those wages as well. One only has to go to the sunshine list, and it's very accessible. Anyone can go. Anyone can look and see what the CAO in St. Catharines or Niagara Falls or Welland or the fire chief anywhere. You look at the head of the finance department. Let's take a look at the directors of finance, the 13 of them that we have and how much they're getting.
They're about over $250,000.
There's a lot of money.
Yes.
There's a lot of money. So there are opportunities here for us to take a look at this and ratchet it down. You know, I've often said, and I'm a big believer, and I have lots of people who stand against me, and they talk about why would you amalgamate? In the long run, it costs more money. I can demonstrate to you that just the reduction in management alone, right? It's been determined that we could save $33 million a year just by rationalizing and moving down and getting rid of some of this duplicated administrative and government services. You know, it would also increase our procurement and innovation costs. We'd probably save about $7 million there. We've reduced external contracting costs, save another $5 million there. And some people say, well, when you rationalize, when you modify collective agreements and you bring people together like that, you're going to have to spend more money in some areas because some people, like in Port Colborne, don't get paid as much in public works or whatever. That's been worked out to be about $20 million a year as a minus. But at the end of the day, when you add it all up, it results in about a $25 million a year savings by amalgamating to one municipality.
Yeah, and a lot of these positions that are duplicated throughout the 12 different cities in the region, all those people can be removed by attrition. They can be bought out.
Yeah.
One-time fee. They can be retired. So as they float off the pay chart, we don't replace them. We don't need them.
No, the ministry has actually said, the province has actually come to us and said, if you guys decide to go and make these moves, we'll support you. And I believe the number 3 or 4 years ago was millions and millions of dollars that they would apply for any municipality that wanted to amalgamate or wanted to come together. They had money to help support those one-time costs.
Now, the way I figure it, the regional budget right now for everything is over $1 billion.
Yes,
over $1 billion,
correct.
1.1 or 1.2 billion.
Yep, that's right.
And when you talk about the police, I know Bob Gale wanted to cap all departments at 3.5%, but the police are saying they need 8% just to meet contractual union obligations.
That's right.
They're looking for 12.8. Well, they started at 13.6. Now they're saying 12.8, but it's going to be around 13, and it was 13.2 or 3 last year, I believe.
Well, as a guy who used to do budgets, and when I used to do budgets, what our main cost was salary and payroll related costs. They usually, for me, worked out to about 85% of your total budget. Was 85% was salary, payroll, staffing, and the costs associated with staffing. With the police, it's closer to 90%. It might even be higher than 90%. So unless you're going to reduce that staffing, which I know they want to add more because we have issues in our community, and I understand that, it's going to be very difficult to inch them down. So we need to figure out a way as how can we accommodate the requests that they have within the envelope of money that's available from the taxpayers, because it's the taxpayers that fund this for the most part.
Well, the best way to not have to have as many police is to not have as much crime.
Good point. Yeah.
I mean, it all comes down to putting people in jail and keeping them there. But we've looked at, and I talk about crime on my show every day, Al, and we look at what's going on, and 99.9% of the people that are being arrested are repeat offenders, number one, who've been let out. Look at this guy just got shot on Throatstone Road over here, right? They're repeat offenders. And a lot of them, and I'm not saying all of them, but a lot of them are illegals in the country who have been let in through our open door policy of Trudeau over the last 10 years.
Yeah.
Now, if you removed this element of crime, and we're seeing what's happening in the United States, in Washington, in Chicago, in Portland, in San Francisco now, Los Angeles, you remove the problem, and then you don't need the police to patrol. We need more police because we have a bigger problem. You remove the problem,
you don't use much,
which tougher judges and keeping them in jail, this turnstile of justice, then I think you're going to remove the need for all the police. And a lot of people say, well, we can hire social work. No, I don't agree with that. All the police have a role to play, and you don't send a social worker into a domestic. You saw what happened with the guy in Throatstone Road, that domestic.
Yeah.
Now, can you imagine a social worker going there to have a talk with them?
Yeah, and regrettably, these are federal policies that have a major impact on frontline officers, and I can imagine how frustrated they are with this catch and release program. They're probably rearresting the same person 3, 4, 5, 6. I've heard as many as 9 times in some circumstances where they keep arresting the guy, well, why arrest him in the first place? I'm sure they're frustrated. Frontline police officers are just frustrated to no end. And so, unfortunately, as a lower tier municipality or as a municipality, it's difficult to put a cost on that. Well, I guess we are seeing the cost with all these increases in police officers, right?
And, as much as I talk about illegals here, we let in the bad guys. Trump's not joking around when he says the mental cases and the criminals. These guys, they do empty out their bad guys and send them somewhere else. Go to Canada, they'll take you. But the problem is that it's not just them anymore, because you're bringing people here who are looking for a better life.
Mm-hmm.
And what are they finding? They're finding they're living in hotel rooms. They can't get jobs because there's no jobs.
That's right.
And now with this tariff stuff, and our political leaders can't handle that, a lot of companies are headed south. They're getting the hell out of here. Exxon, Stellantis. I mean, we've heard it all. Trucking companies, softwood lumber companies, they're moving. They've had enough. So what are these legal immigrants and refugees that we brought in to help them out? How are we helping them out? Sticking them in hotels with no future. And of course they're getting mad. And what are they doing? They're going to go out and commit crime because they're idle. They have nothing to do. They don't have jobs to go to or anything. What the hell?
Yeah, it's frustrating, right? I mean, with all due respect, you have these people who've left probably a terrible situation in their home country, and with all, they've wanted to come to Canada, they want to start a new life, they want to be a productive citizen in society. I'd like to think most immigrants that come in are prepared to do that. They're not this element of people that want to commit crime over and over and over again. And yeah, I can appreciate the frustration on their part. They think, oh, Canada, what a great nation, what an awesome, and they get here and they're like, there's no jobs. We can't find a job.
Yeah, and then you have the other side of that coin.
Right.
The militants, the ones who come here and they ruin their country. Now they want to come here and ruin our country. And they're the ones you see on Clifton Hill protesting and dropping smoke bombs and blocking. These are the people that got to go.
Yeah.
There's no more war in Palestine. Ship them all out. And, but this is the problem, is that when you just let millions and millions of people in, and then you expect to be able to have the same police forces, the same budgets and everything. No, it can't happen. I don't think that Police Chief 40 is lying when he says he needs more of this and more of that, and we need to jump our budget to almost $250 million.
I hear what you're saying, and all he's doing is reacting. In essence, he's reacting to the reality of what's out in our community right now, right? And he's, he's struggling as well. I mean, I know we sent it. I know the region had a proposal, and it was sent back, and now they're crafting it up again. But it's going to come back. It's going to be very, very high. It's going to be very difficult for the region to come in at 3.5%. Very difficult.
It's probably going to be almost impossible. And as our upper echelon politicians like Ford, and like Carney, as they are so weak they can't make a deal, it's going to get worse for Canadians. And when it gets worse for Canadians, it gets worse for governments, because they face the same challenges as we do, right? As we do.
Yeah. And
they turn to us to bail them out. Well, we don't have the money anymore.
No, the taxpayers being fleeced enough. Like there's no more money left. Like you can't, what do they say? You can't draw blood from a stone.
Can't get blood from a stone.
And you must have been just shaking your head this morning with the news with Doug Ford and Donald Trump and his announcement, right? I mean, wow.
Yeah, this is just insanity, and it doesn't bode well for Canada. I got to tell you a story, Al.
Sure.
Okay.
I like stories.
Once upon a time,
I usually lay my head down, but anyways, go ahead.
It's a fairy tale. But I was sitting with a couple of my buddies, and we were talking about the election.
Yeah.
Carney, Polyev, and everything else. And my buddy said, you have to vote for Carney. And I said, what you been drinking too much here or what? I don't like liberals at all.
Yeah.
I won't. Well, wait. What's that?
Oh yeah. Where you're right there. Yeah.
I got my Republican pin on right here. I don't like liberals. I think most of them suffer from a mental illness, if you want to get down to it. That's my opinion. And I said, are you crazy? And he goes, listen, the best thing that could happen to Canada is become the 51st state. You elect Carney, it's going to happen faster.
Yeah.
And we laughed at him. But you know what? 8 months later,
here we are, kind of like
he was right.
Our head.
And let's just read what Doug Ford, President Trump said about Doug Ford spending $75 million on an advertising campaign against him and using Ronald Reagan as a thing against tariffs. The Ronald Reagan Foundation has just announced that Canada has fraudulently used an advertisement which is fake, featuring Ronald Reagan speaking negatively about tariffs. The ad was for $75 million. They only did this to interfere with the decision of the U.S. Supreme Court and other courts. Tariffs are very important to national security and the economy of the USA. Based on their egregious behavior, all trade negotiations with Canada are hereby terminated. Thank you for your attention to this matter, President the DJT. When I heard this, I just couldn't believe it. I talked about it on my show the other day too. This is insanity.
Yeah.
This is total insanity. What do you think, Al?
Well, you know what? He's the he's the premier of Ontario, right? We've got a negotiating group down in Washington right now negotiating. I'm not sure why he's getting involved. You know, it reminds me of something I wrote about a little while ago regarding when I heard that the mayor of St. Catharines was going to Washington on the taxpayer dime to go and meet and try and influence these tariff deals. And I'm like, what are we doing here? Like, how many people are we going to send down to Washington to try and influence the president? By the way, I don't think the president cares. The president's doing what he thinks he needs to do to make his country great, or I guess make it great again. But I mean, I'm not sure what we're doing here, whether it's standing in front of a podium and pouring out a bottle of whiskey, or from a distillery. By the way, I want everyone to know we distill all that alcohol out in Gimli, Manitoba, or standing up here and putting out these commercials, which, by the way, we already kind of knew about the Ronald Reagan sort of thing and how he felt about tariffs a while back. So why kind of poke the bear is what I'm saying. Like, what are we doing? We have people down there negotiating. They seem to be making some progress. I'm not sure where they're at, but I don't agree with him going and poking the bear and kind of meddling. And now I don't know where we're at now.
Well, this is the whole thing. And to me, for him to quote a guy that was president 50 years ago, 40 years, 45 years ago, the world has changed, Mr. Ford.
Yeah, good
I
point.
call him Edsel Ford, right? Because the Edsel was the biggest flop in the world. And this guy has turned into the biggest flop ever. And I supported him at the beginning, but not at the last election.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, the world has changed. This isn't Ronald Reagan's era. He had a different way of dealing with the government because the times were different in the 70s and 80s,
Yeah.
right? Ford is trying to use this, and it wasn't even his full delivery, his full speech. And now they're thinking of maybe even doing something, suing him for plagiarizing and faking what Ronald Reagan said, misquoting him.
Well, let's hope he doesn't just do that. Donald Trump doesn't do something really wild and just say, okay, 100% tariffs across the board or something wild like that.
Well, you know what? It could happen.
Yeah.
You know, Trump, he's one of those guys, and we talked about this a little before the show. 10 years we've been watching Donald Trump in politics.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know how many years I was watching him before that, building big towers and doing everything that he did. And these Canadians, elbows up Canadians, still don't understand how Donald Trump works. I don't understand Canadians. I just don't get it. Like,
Yeah.
Donald Trump is a guy, we saw him against every politician. When Marco Rubio said something against him, what did he do? He called him Little Marco Rubio. And he kept on with that. And Lion Ted Cruz and Crooked Hillary. I mean, we see the way he works. You punch him, he punches back.
Yeah.
Why not sit down and say, you're a businessman?
Yeah, he's not a politician.
He's not.
Because a politician wouldn't say stuff like that, right?
No.
He's a businessman, and that's what he grew up being.
And he don't care because his goal is peace in the world and to make America great again. That's it. And you can do whatever you want, Doug Ford. You can make these advertisements, pour a bottle of whiskey, tell him shut off the electricity. All he's going to do is say, oh, okay, we're going to get by without the Canadian electricity. We don't even need you. And he told them that. We don't even need Canada. What do we need Canada for? We're the biggest nation in the world. We have the most weapons and we have the most money. What do we need Canada for? But they still don't get it, these politicians.
Let's hope cooler heads prevail and we get back. And you know what? Canada can get back to the table and negotiate something that's fair for both sides and that helps probably the two largest trading partners in the world get along and move forward. But him getting involved is only muddying the waters. Having mayors or local politicians go down there to try and influence what's going on, it has no influence. Let's stop spending taxpayers' money to do this. Let, as much as I hate saying it, let Mark Carney and his team try and figure out, as the Prime Minister, the guy who represents all of us, let him figure things out and move forward.
Yeah, because there's no use Cisco going down there. What's he doing there?
What are we doing here? And he didn't even get allowed into the White House. How much money did we waste on that?
Who's he? I'm the mayor of St. Catharines.
Yeah. Who are you? Where is St. Catharines? Does he even know how to spell St. Catharines?
Yeah.
Seriously.
Well, most people don't.
No, they spell it with an E and not an E.
Yeah, even I see it in the paper all the time, and I go, "These people."
Yeah.
I mean, but you know what's funny? If I went down there with my pin, I'd probably have a better chance than
You probably would have. Yeah.
Cisco.
Yeah. You would have identified it right away and walked right up to you.
I mean, and not only that, I mean, like, really, they got their own problems with
Yeah.
St. Catharines. They want to raise. They're talking about the budget now, and we'll talk about the St. Catharines.
Yeah.
You probably know more about it than I do. And we've got the Niagara Falls budget. We're looking down the barrel of a 6% increase. We'll see how that works out on November 25th when the budget meeting happens. But yeah, we have our own problems. You don't have to go to Washington.
That's right. Let's figure out what's going on here in the region and in your own local municipality, and let's try and fix things here.
Yeah, and Dougie, you take care of the province. Go build your tunnel under the 401, whatever you want to do.
Let's twin let's twin our Garden City Bridge so that as we're coming up Sandplant Hill, we all get bottlenecked there.
Oh, geez. I was talking about that on yesterday on Thursday's show.
Yeah.
This genius, Jennifer somebody, I don't know who she is. He's the Minister of Transport, says, we're looking into using Canadian steel to build. And I go, are you 30 miles down the road? We got 2 steel plants.
Why wouldn't we use our own steel? That makes zero sense.
I don't even know.
We're looking at using it. Why is that even an issue?
Why would she have to even say that?
Yeah.
I mean, I would expect nothing less, especially when they just came off the elbows up and, and don't go to the United States.
We're looking at
spend your money in Canada, and they're trying to figure out. I read the paper and it just boggles my mind. You wonder why people are depressed and desperate. Well,
or hopeless.
You should sit behind here and read the news every day and then try to report on it. That really gets you goofy. and I got to get to my second sponsor.
Absolutely. Is this the Peach Pizza?
Yes.
Hey, big game tonight. I hope they're going to be really busy.
The Blue Jays.
That's right.
Oh, is that? I thought it was last night.
No, it's tonight.
Oh,
tonight,
I don't
tomorrow.
I don't follow baseball.
Oh, they're going to be busy tonight. Nothing better than going to Peach Pizza. Grab yourself some pizza.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, if you're going to watch the game, you got to have a pizza there because pizza's my Valium.
Mm-hmm.
When I watch these politicians on TV and I watch city council meeting, I always have a fresh hot pizza beside me because when I get going, I grab a piece of pizza and have something to eat and I calm down. I feel a lot better because you know why? Pizza makes a really good pizza. They're consistent. They use fresh ingredients, and that Mancini recipe for sauce and crust, it's second to none. It's amazing. And that's what they do over there at Pete's Pizza on Victoria Avenue. They make consistently good pizzas, but they're not just a one-hit wonder. They have great wings. They have great panzerotti, great steak and cheese sandwiches, great steak and cheese poutine, and in the new chicken parm sandwich they have, it's fantastic.
That sounds good.
They have a new location, same owners, on Thoroldstone Road at Kaler, where the old pie guys used to be. So now the northwest section of Niagara Falls, you can have great pizza too. And they still have the location on Victoria Avenue, of course. How do you get a hold of these beautiful people? 905-374-2222. Mike and Rex will take care of you. Tell them Paul from Your City, Your Voice sent you. They use all the delivery services, and they deliver themselves too if you want. They'll have it to you hot and ready in a half an hour. I'm telling you, you're going to love their pizza, and you'll say, hey, that guy on the radio was right.
Call them early. Game starts at 8.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You'll be waiting if you don't call. You got to call around 6 and reserve your pizza for the game. Your Blue Jays pizza. Thanks for supporting our sponsors. They support the show. They support the city, and they're good corporate citizens, which we all should be, and we should support our local small business.
Absolutely.
Right?
Cannot agree more.
I can't agree more. So what about the St. Catharines budget? What do you know about the St. Catharines budget?
Well, what I know is they're still crafting it. Again, we call it the St. Catharines budget, but ever since the Strong Mayor Powers came into being, it's Mayor Cisco's budget. And so what we've seen is this year,
one person to blame.
So it's a multi-year budget. They changed this over a few years ago.
I saw that.
Yeah, so this is the third year of a multi-year budget. This year they're looking at it in and around 3%. Might be a little less than that. It's a little less than they anticipated. I don't know if it's because this year's it's an election year, so we want to keep it as low as possible.
Good point.
The thing that we need to remember, though, when we're looking at budgets, especially the one for St. Catharines, is this term of council, they had the highest ever property tax increase in St. Catharines in the city's history. I want you just to think about that for a second. The highest ever property tax increase in the city's history. Residents were shackled with a 10.5% property tax increase when you factored in what the region did as well. It was half and half. Half was the city, half was the region, which is unusual as well. And you ask, well, why? Well, they spent a good portion of that money. They wanted this. Part of it was they used it as an opportunity because we uploaded transit, so those expenses were now going to be handled by the region. But so it left an opening. Our expenses have gone down. They decided to fill that gap up by increasing wages for certain positions, by hiring 40 some odd staff for various reasons. And then they put millions and millions of dollars into reserve funds. Now, I used to do finance a bit. I was always under the impression that the only reason a reserve fund exists is in case an emergency happens. So it was to mitigate a future tax increase. Something happens, we need this money. Okay, we have a reserve fund. We have an emergency bank account. We can grab that money. In this case, the irony here is we created the largest ever property tax increase in the city's history in order to increase our reserves, to put money into a bank account. And the irony there is that money should have come back to the property, to taxpayers. And so what happens is we have this 10.5% tax increase. And yeah, maybe over the last several years, they've been at or close to inflation increases, but those are all compounded. We start with this 10 point, it's all been compounded from there. And none of that money has ever come back to the property taxpayers, and it's wrong. Absolutely wrong.
I know, we got somebody called the squirrel.
Oh.
On our, and she squirrels away every time. And not only that, they use accounting methods that are whacked. They don't favor the taxpayer at all. The property taxpayer, they don't favor you at all. They estimate casino revenue at 14 million. It comes in at 20 million, right? So they're underestimating it. But whenever you take money off that bottom line revenue, any deficit has to be made up by us.
That's right.
So if they estimate it at 16 million, 2 million more,
yep,
every 700,000 is a point on your property tax.
1%. That's right.
That's almost 3%. Now, when we're having 4.9% increases, that actually means if they did it properly, the way it should be done, instead of squirreling away this money,
it'd be 1.9.
Yeah,
that's right.
It'd be 3%
exactly.
less.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Yep.
So this is what they've been doing to us. And like Al said, we've had 4.9, 7.9, our a catch-up increase in taxes, a 7.9%. But you know what the catch-up was? It was on your hamburger, because we haven't caught up. Now they're saying they need more and more. 4.9. And it's compounded, like Al said. Yeah. Don't let it fool you. They had them all up and divide by 4 over 4 years. No, that's not the way you do it.
It's compounded. Yeah,
they don't start at 0 and then no, they start on top with what they already put out there.
And don't forget, folks, what Paul's saying is 100% correct. What Paul's saying is that's just the city's portion of the budget. Let's not forget that the region still has theirs, which was 7.5, 7.02, and 9.6 in the last 3 years. That is just, I'm not sure whose salary is going up that much over that period of time. Like whose salary is going up that increase? It's definitely not the cost of living. It's way beyond that.
Well, it makes me laugh because I read, like when I was reading the budget for St. Catharines, it says the average house of $258,000 market value assessment is going to go up to $1,863 a year.
Yeah,
and I'm going. First of all, where's the house for $258,000? But number two is number two. Believe me, because that number does not include regional taxes, which are probably at least 50% more.
Well, they're 50. I always heard 50, it was 55.45.
There you go, 55.45 for region. So if you're paying $1,800, just add another $1,800 plus another, $700 or $800 on top of that. So now you're at $4,500, $4,600. So they give you that number to make it look like, oh, we're only $1,800, but no. And the region, if we think the cities are bad, the region is 10 times as, 12 times as bad.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. You'll hear city councilors say when they compare it, for a home that's worth $250,000, it's only $110. $110. Only $110.
Yeah.
Well, hold on a second. In reality, like Paul said, there's no homes out there for $250,000. You're looking at $500,000. Let's look at it that way. And it's not just only. I mean, we're talking about taking food off of people's tables. We're talking about them giving up on maybe paying their hydro bill or not being able to put gas in their car. Like we're at that point now where things are critical and we need major, major changes.
When a counselor gets up there and says, "Oh, it's only $8 a month," it is so insulting.
Yeah.
It's insulting to me when they say that, because it's not just $8 a month. You've got the region on top of that. But what about gas? What about hydro? What about water and wastewater? That's right. What about gasoline? What about just the cost of living going up 30%? $8 a month, I'll take that deal all day long.
Minimizing the impact of an increase in expenses to a property taxpayer because, inflation or because look at gas prices or look at over here, is just trying to deflect from what they're doing and what they're not doing. And what they're not doing is making hard decisions about the services they should be offering. And really looking at the service as a whole within Niagara here to determine how can we run this better? How can we run it more like a business? How can we run this so that people get good value for their money? And they're not getting good value for their money right now.
No, they're not. And when I look at just the budget, when I go through the budget and then I see council working with the budget, 192 pages of expenses, and only one counselor came up with efficiencies to try to save money for the taxpayers on the Niagara Falls City Council. That's it. Another one said send it back to staff and let them deal with it.
Yeah.
And nobody else had any recommendations. One wanted to get 150, 200,000 more to battle Phragmites, and the other one said, well, maybe we could cut $50,000 off the fire department budget. Are you kidding? Here's a dime.
Yeah,
$50,000 off of $30 million. Yeah. Why even say that?
Yeah, wasting time, because that's not going to have that's going to have zero impact on, what I've been pushing is Mr. Rob Flack. Rob Flack is the Minister of Municipal and Housing Affairs, right? And so he has the authority to come in and he has the authority to make changes. Municipalities are a product of the province. And so what I've been suggesting, and I've been sending him messages and trying to get him, the province of Alberta the Premier has directed their Minister of Municipal and Housing Affairs to review pay of municipal officials and look at ways to limit property taxes. They want to ensure taxpayers' money is being spent respectfully and efficiently. And so I've said, why aren't we doing the same thing here? Here in Niagara, we have some of the highest property taxes across the province. And it's ridiculous. We talk about ensuring taxpayers' money is being respected and being spent efficiently. I'm sure you can come up with an example, but the one that drives me crazy is when the city of St. Catharines decided we're going to get ourselves a self-cleaning washroom for $650,000. We're going to put it downtown St. Catharines. And now at the end of the day, that self-cleaning bathroom not only broke down all these millions of times, which by the way, they knew that was a problem. They ended up shelving it. And in order to keep maintaining it, putting fences up around it, they ended up having to spend probably well over $1 million. And at the end of the day, no one even blinked an eye. No one even apologized. No one even said, listen, that was a really bad decision on our part. I'm sorry. We wasted your tax dollars. It's just it's disrespect towards our property taxes, the money we spend.
Yeah, I talked about that on my show because it was a disaster since day one. Yep. Homeless going in there, setting it on fire, tearing the sink off the wall. It was in a place by the fire department so they could watch it.
Yeah. When I watched that council meeting, and by the way, it's on YouTube if you want to watch it, I found it quite entertaining because it actually came down to the former mayor, Walter Senzik. It came down to his vote, right? Because half of them didn't want it. Half of them wanted it. My question would have been, and I wish I was there to ask this, is we have a washroom at Montebello Park. Why not just leave it open and I know it's not self-clean, but why not just leave it open? We're spending a lot of money on this. And the reason we're going to leave it open is because they were worried that people were going to go in and vandalize it. Then why are we spending all this money on a self-cleaning one then? It makes no sense.
No, it's a joke.
Yeah, it is.
And we see that in Niagara Falls all the time with, we give $700,000 to this joint called the Innovation Hub.
Okay, yep.
And they won't open their books. They won't show their books. But the council every year gives them 700 grand. We have, now they want to open up this $17 million walking trail. Like, excuse me, but half a mile down the road, 32 miles of the most scenic and beautiful walking trail in the world.
Absolutely.
We have Oaks Park. We have the Bain Center. We have the Gale Center. We have so many places to walk. You're going to wear out your hips if you use them all. And we still have to spend $17 million. These are the things that drive me nuts. And the $25,000 concrete ping pong table is the top of the heap for dopiness.
In a time when people are struggling, and they know people are struggling, affordability is an issue. We want to spend all this money on sort of things that we already have or we don't need. A ping pong table? Honestly, a ping pong table.
Hey, this is this is your money they're spending. Yeah. And so this is why you should be listening to this show and listening to Al and joining the Property Taxpayers Alliance on Facebook and going to their website. Yeah. Because these are the things that are costing you money. And Niagara Falls gets $20 million a year that no other city in the region gets.
That's right.
Our roads are no better. We have a gang of spendthrifts on the city council, which I think is the worst city council I personally have ever seen in my life. Yet they will get elected again. And I don't get it, Al. Yeah. I don't get it. It doesn't make any sense. But here we are.
Yeah, it's a lot of it's name recognition. I said the same thing about the city of St. Catharines. And I said, I can't believe I sit here and I listen to these people and they're like, yeah, well, we know people are struggling. We know affordability. And the next item on the thing is like, yeah, well, let's vote ourselves a huge raise. Like, what? Vote yourselves a huge, what are we talking about here? And they rationalize it. They justify it. They say stuff like, well, we want to attract more people. Thorold just did this. We want to attract more people to run for politics. So we should make the remuneration a little bit more attractive. I'm like, what? You know that more often than not, it's the incumbent that's going to get in anyways, just because of name recognition. I said, give me a break.
Yeah, and what is the reason anybody wants to work or get on city council, to run for city council? Is it for a paycheck? Well, if it's for a paycheck, you shouldn't be running for city council.
That's right. You're running for the wrong reasons. You should be going there because you want to make a difference in your community, not because you're getting paid. And by the way, most of these politicians know what the remuneration is before they go. For them to go halfway through a session and say, I think we deserve a raise, or let's hire a consultant to tell us what we want to hear. Oh, yeah, we need a more raise. That is just wrong. Wrong.
Yeah, the council in there is getting paid more than us. We need to get up to, you know what? The bottom line is that you're there to help the people.
That's right.
The pay should be secondary. If the pay's your main reason for running for city council,
you're in it for the wrong reason.
Why don't you be honest about it?
Yeah.
During your campaign, say, the only reason I'm running is to get a paycheck.
That's right.
I don't care about you guys. Why don't they be honest about it? I had everybody in here, and all of them said they're gonna get tough on crime, and they're gonna really no taxes, lower the taxes and all that. And I wrote it all down. I got all everything they said, and the ones who were elected, and I go into that file every once in a while, pull it and see what they said when they're talking about things. Like a lot of them said, well, we're going to lower taxes, and they've raised taxes, 25, 26% over the last 4 years, looking at 6% this year.
Yeah.
What happened to that promise?
Yeah. I mean, even at the very minimum, what I like to do is I like to look at voting records. And I remember holding a couple of councillors in St. Catharines. I held them accountable for their voting record. And I'm like, here you are talking about affordability, and yet you're voting yourself these massive raises, or you're voting for these expenditures that are not needed. Like, what are we doing?
Well, I think, and I don't know how you feel about this.
Yep.
I think term limits are definitely needed. I mean, we can't make this a make work program for people who don't want to get a job.
I could not agree with you more. And I've been a huge believer in term limits. One, that bringing in that sort of diversity, people with different forms of thought. You're not having the same group of people because the incumbents, a lot of times they still get in. So you're not having these people come in all the time And it's that same thinking, that diversity of thought, having diversity within your group, having different core groups of people that are coming. Like the region, they had 20 some odd people run in the last election. I know they hired 7. It seems like a lot, but for the regional council for the city of St. Catharines, there was like 7 or 8 people that they hired. It's going to be the same people all the time. It's the same group of people that have come in there. There's councillors there that have been there for years and years and years.
Yeah, and the thing is that here's what I always say to people: you cannot expect the same people who caused the problems to fix the problems.
Yeah, exactly. You're right.
They won't. They won't, because there's always a thing in business that people support that which they help to create. If you let them help you create something, they will support it, because if they don't, then they look like idiots.
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, we're 1 year away from the next municipal election. I want you to give that some thought. 1 year away. Start challenging your city councilors. Start challenging your regional councilors. What are you going to do differently? Look at their voting records. Go online. Search it out. I know it can be tough sometimes, but look it out. Challenge your councilors.
Yeah, whatever you think is wrong, go in there and look for when that came up on council and see how they voted. I mean, our council is easy, because one person votes against
stuff,
stands up.
Yep.
The other 7 put their hands up and vote for everything.
Yeah.
It's just like there's a string on the mayor's arm when he puts his hand up. Did you ever see those guys?
Yeah.
Did you ever see those guys with the things, the dancing and musicians?
The marionettes?
They got sticks, and they have a person, and they're in the middle controlling them.
Oh, geez.
That's what it's like, right? And they start dancing, and the puppets on behind them. That's what it's like. I mean, it's so ridiculous. Yeah. And seriously, term limits would cure
absolutely
that. And in Niagara Falls, you're lucky you have wards in St. Catharines.
We do, yeah.
And we should have them in Niagara Falls, but we don't. And that really makes it tough for a new person to afford to campaign citywide.
That's right. It costs more money.
Yeah. And it's funny, because I ran for city council in 1994.
Okay.
I got 3,000 or 4,000 or 5,000 votes. I didn't do bad. I didn't get in. It was a casino year.
Okay.
When they were deciding on whether we wanted a casino. It was really, really black and white.
Okay.
But I know that in my district, because at that time I worked for London Life.
Yep.
And where I lived, that was my district.
Yeah.
And I knew most of the people there from being out there with London Life. So it was very easy for me to run in a district, right? In a ward, because that was where I worked.
But now imagine across the entire city.
It would be
the entire region if they end up amalgamating. That's a much tougher thing to do.
Yeah, it really
and expensive
is.
Too.
It really is. So it really gives the incumbents a big advantage.
Yeah, leg up.
27% of the people showed up to vote, which means
it's horrible.
Which means 73% or 73% of the people are going to run the city. Basically, right. Whoever voted, I mean, they voted for the people who are going to give them what they want. Yep. They got elected, these people. So, but
you got those 20% of the people that have basically decided how the city's going to be run.
Yeah, exactly.
Who they want to allow to do that.
And so what happens is that people just don't get out and vote. They don't care. They don't watch the budget. They don't research anything. They don't know anything. And they go into that voting thing with 32 people running for city council.
So look for the names that recognize.
Thompson, Campbell,
Diodati.
Diodati. Just the names they recognize.
That's right.
And it's really funny. And we had a few new ones come in, and they're just
they didn't get a chance, eh?
Well, the 2 new ones, they're just terrible.
Yeah. They're just came on to cancel. Yeah.
Yeah, they're just unbelievable. They I can't tell you. I do a Diamonds and Coal show every year.
Okay.
Where we award counselors over the last year for their performance.
Oh, I like this.
Either diamonds or coal.
I like this.
Right? I do it every year. I've done it every year since 2022 election. And we I have a big diamond like this.
Yeah.
And I have a bunch of coal. And we sit here and we drop them into I have these little socks, like Santa socks. Here's what you're getting for Christmas.
That is fantastic.
Coal. Yeah, we did it last year. We do it every year. I should bring you in for that. But we had a laugh. We had a laugh with it. and before that, we gave them their report card. We rated up A, B, C, D.
Yeah, well, listen,
F.
I'm part of a coalition, a St. Catharines Coalition for a better St. Catharines, and we did that. We did that for the city councilors for a number of issues. One was the self-cleaning toilet. Who voted for it? Who voted against it? Who voted for the 10.5% tax increase? It's not just the mayor who put it forward, although the mayor was a deciding factor in it. And a myriad of other issues that we have down there. And then we hand it out to the public. We tell people what the voting record was for certain politicians, certain municipal politicians. And I think it's important that people know that. We need to be transparent regarding it.
And, I blame council a lot for stuff. But at the end of the day, they're just people.
Yeah.
Like, there's nobody that sits on that council, maybe other than Councillor Vince Cario, who's run a $150 million business. So can we really expect them to go through the budget and understand everything in it? I mean, I go through it, and sometimes, I'm racking my brains. I have to text people and talk to people and try to figure out exactly.
It's quite complicated.
It really is.
Yeah.
And we don't even get the full one. We get the one they present to the public.
That's right.
Right? There's the capital budget was 192 pages, and I think the operations budget was 492.
Try looking at a financial information return at the end of the year and see how they spent your money.
Yeah.
That is very confusing.
I do that too. And that, you're right, because they're shifting money around. They're shuffling money from reserve funds. And we've got Holdco, Niagara Falls Holding Company. We've got a couple of different entities that are moving money around. And it's very, very hard to see where that money is going and coming from sometimes. So, I mean, the level of expertise on council to be able to deal with this, basically, let's face it, staff's running it.
That's right. Yeah. And a lot of times staff are coming in and they're saying, we're going to take advantage of this one-time opportunity where we're transferring costs over here so that we can increase the levy over here.
So I have to say that all we can ask of council is to do their due diligence, go through the budget, go through the capital budget, go through the operations budget, and at the end of the day, at least have some input.
Ask some
look
questions.
At something, look at the number and compare it to last year's number. If it's $1 million more, why is it $1 million more?
Ask those questions. Ask those tough questions and stick to your guns.
But you've got to go, we've got to make sure that our councilors are going through this budget in the first place. A lot of them don't. I know they don't because they can't answer questions. They have nothing to say. How can you not have questions about 192 pages of expenses? Is there nothing in there? One thing that maybe you said, this doesn't look right to me.
Doesn't make sense.
Hold it. $20,000 for 4 computer desks. This doesn't sound right to me. $25,000 for a concrete ping pong table. This doesn't seem right to me. $1.5 million for a swimming pool. That doesn't seem right to me. There's things that just, you just know from life.
Yeah.
This doesn't look right to me. You go out there and you buy stuff at Home Depot. You get services at your house to fix this and fix that. You should be able to look at something and say, now you might be wrong.
Yeah.
It might be fine.
But at least you're asking the question.
But you're asking the questions. That's all we can ask from council, I think. Like, they're not experts. We get it.
I remember the city of St. Catharines was putting benches down on the pier. Yeah. And each bench was going to come in at like $7,500. And I'm like, hold on a second here. So I emailed my counselor and I said, hey, $7,500 a year? I'd like that contract, please.
Yeah. Right. Exactly.
That's crazy.
And that's basically all we can ask. And we're going to wind this up, but I got to get to my last sponsor.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hamill Machine Company. And then you probably have a few more things you want to talk about or say. We don't have to get out of here at 1,
that's
by the way. But I'd like to, just so if anybody else is coming in. Okay, my last sponsor, Hamill Machine Company, one of my favorite places in Niagara Falls. Been here since 1948, working with the food industry, working with the agricultural product industry, working with the wine industry to make them better. When a company comes to an area like Niagara Falls, any industry, the first thing they want to know is, do they have a good machine shop? Why? Because if they need their stuff fixed, they have to make sure that there's somebody there to fix it. When they're down and they're not producing, they're not getting any production, they're losing money. You got to get up and running. And, today, parts come from all over the world.
That's right.
They don't just come from, the United States or anything. They come from Taiwan,
Yeah.
China, South America, and Central America. They come from Mexico, Germany, Taiwan, everywhere. And so sometimes you can't wait. They got to get things fixed. That's where Hamel Machine Company comes in. They have the skilled staff, they have the machines, the 3D printers, the water jet cutters, and the expertise to be able to not only help industry, but help them be better. They innovate when they repair to make sure that that machine is not only working good, it's working better than it was before. More production equals more bottom line revenue. They've done it for a lot of industries, and they ship their innovations all over the world. That's what they do at Hamel. Been here since 1948. They haven't forgot us little guys.
Yeah.
You need something fabricated. You need something designed. They can do it for you. That's how good they are at Hamel Machine Company. Go to hamelmachine.ca to see the amazing work that they do in all aspects of industry in Niagara Falls, for the region, for the city. They work for everybody. Thank you so much for supporting our sponsors, and we really appreciate their contribution to the community. They're good corporate citizens and very, very nice people. All of them. I love my sponsors to death. Okay, Al, what are we going to finish up with here?
Well, you know what? I want to thank you for having me on your show again. I do enjoy coming in here and talking politics. I don't get I don't get a chance to really speak a lot, other than with some friends over a few beverages. But I do appreciate coming in here and having these conversations with you. I want to encourage everyone to visit the propertytaxpayers.ca and sign up for our newsletter, and you can see some of the work that we're working on. You can see that this issue with regards to property taxes isn't just something here in Niagara, but it's an issue across the province, and that we're more than happy to have you join, get a newsletter, and we're growing every day. There's new members that come and join us every day, and feel free to reach out and contact me. You can go to the Property Taxpayers .ca website. I'm more than happy to answer any questions that you might have or any concerns that you might have with regards to property taxes, and we can game plan together about how we can move forward.
Yeah, and you know what I really like about Property Taxpayers Alliance is that most people are uninformed.
That's right.
Or poorly informed. And they really do need somebody to be there to give them this information. I try to do it on the show. I get out to as many people as I can, and they should be signing up for Your City, Your Voice
right here
on YouTube. They should be subscribing in that, because if you have the information at hand, you can make decisions on who you want to represent you on council. Remember, they're dealing with your money. When you look around and you see bad roads, especially in Niagara Falls, where you're getting $20 million from the casino, and you're seeing your taxes go up 3 or 4 or 5%, when we have a $20 million to work with, it only takes $3.5 million, which in a $150 million budget or $200 million budget is not a lot of money.
It's not.
$3.5 million will take your 5% increase to a zero.
Yeah.
That's how simple it is. They make it complicated down there. But the bottom line is, it's very simple math. When that revenue says one number and the expenses match that number, that's a zero.
Zero. And I don't know. I've been paying property taxes for a long time. I can't remember the last time I had a zero-based budget, a zero budget increase. Saying, hey, we're good. Just pay what you're going to pay, what you paid last year.
And see, that's another thing that I wish somebody, and Lori Lococo is trying to do this, Councilor Lococo on our council, is start at zero. So if our
zero-based budgeting.
Yeah, if our budget last year was $155 million,
yep.
There are a pair of shoes. We're going to try to fit our feet in them again this year.
Yeah. And what's preventing us from doing that? What are the pressure points within those shoes?
Yeah, no, exactly. And where can we find efficiencies?
Yeah.
You know, there might not be a $17 million trail. You know, Al, nobody has ever made it a right for people to have swimming pools and walking trails and everything. Those came from the days when we had lots of money, the 60s, the 70s, when money was flowing in, everybody was working, right? Those were the amenities that we could buy with our extra money. But when that money's not there, and we have to start taking out debentures and loans and start hitting the taxpayers higher to have amenities that we have no right to have. They were just there because times were good. It's like, when you're having times are good, you're driving a Cadillac. When they're not, you're driving a Chevy.
Yeah, it's needs and wants, right? It's like when you do your budgeting at home. I would love to drive a Mercedes Benz, but I can't because I can't afford it. So I go without, right? And that's what, well, unfortunately, that's what a lot of families are doing now, given the massive rate of property taxes that they're paying. They're going without.
And they have to also understand the domino effect of high property taxes. When they raise our taxes, they're also raising the taxes on the building the
That's
small
right.
businessman is in. So he's got to raise his prices. They're raising the taxes for the grocery stores.
Yep.
So they've got to raise their taxes. It just goes right through the whole system. It isn't just your property taxes. It's everything
Everybody.
you do,
Yep.
everywhere you go. The gas station owner who was paying property taxes, now he's got to raise his gas by 2 cents.
Yeah. It has an impact on every part of your life.
It really does. And if you want to really look to why taxes are high, you look to government because they're the ones that are causing you problems.
Yeah. Yeah, especially your municipal government. And by the way, not voting in your municipal election. This election, municipal politics is somewhere where you have the most impact. You have direct access to your regional councilors and city councilors. You should be getting out there and participating. You should really, really participate in these elections.
Now, politicians are not your saviors. They're your problem.
Yeah, lately they are. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, like, so you got to understand that. And when you go to vote, you have to choose wisely. And if you don't vote, well, then you're going to let other people decide what your taxes are going to be in that.
Yeah, exactly. No, it's a great point. It's a very good point.
Amen. Right? What are you going to say? I do this all the time, Alan. I appreciate you being here.
Oh, no, thank you.
And I'm so glad that Property Taxpayers Alliance is out there. Everybody should join this. I'm talking to city councilors too, because you should know what the pulse of the people is.
That's right.
What's that pulse? What are they talking about? What are they mad at? What are they happy about?
Yeah. No, and I'm looking forward. I love the idea of coming in, and I'm more than happy to come in again and bring some local issues together. And this next year is going to be an exciting year. We're moving into an election year, so this should always makes it quite interesting from a municipal level. We have some changes being made by the Ministry of Municipal Housing Affairs, where he's going to select a regional chair. Not sure how I feel about that.
Oh yeah, we didn't
even get to that, but and then possible governance changes beyond that. So we are looking at some pretty exciting times, but I'm sure we'll get to that next month.
Yeah, well, it's interesting. Just touching on that for a moment, that the province said we are going to choose your chair.
Yeah. It's ironic, you know what? It's sort of hypocritical because Minister Flack was here earlier this year, and he said, "I'm taking a hands-off approach to any governance issues here in Niagara." And now they're saying, no, we're going to choose your regional chair. We are taking that. So we'll find out in the next 2 weeks who they select.
It's going to be interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting times coming up as we approach silly season and the election in 2026 for sure. But yeah, you're going to be back.
Absolutely.
We're going to make this a regular visit so that we can keep everybody in tune to what's going on.
Absolutely.
It's funny. I sit here and do this every day. And people say, that guy's wacky. But then I get a guy in like Al, and he confirms that I'm not wacky.
You're not wacky.
I'm not making this stuff up, everybody. Believe
You're not wacky.
me. Anyway, thanks for tuning in. Really appreciate it. Thank you all for being in the studio. Don't forget to support our sponsors, Wild Bill's Auto Repair and Body Shop, Hamill Machine Company, and Pete's Pizza on Victoria Avenue. Have a great weekend, everybody. Be safe out there. Don't mess around. Be safe. I don't want to hear any bad stories over the weekend, and especially from our politicians. We got enough bad stories, and I got to go through the city council agenda because on Monday we do that show with Dave Wheeler, and Tuesday's the meeting, so we'll be doing that on Monday with Dave Wheeler coming in, and then as we move to the end of the month. And Halloween, then we have November 11th. We're going to do a Remembrance Day show here. We always do that every year, Dave and I. And read Flanders Fields and have tears in our eyes. We always end up doing that for our veterans. We love them to death, and the Veterans Crosswalks are fantastic. They built. Anyway, take care, everybody. God bless you all. We'll see you next week. Don't forget to support our sponsors. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And we're out. Thanks, Al.
See ya.